Just buried, start throwing a knife into it. There. Nice and hot under there. Beautiful. Now, let's have a look at these knives.
Don't know if you can see it on camera, folks, but we've got a nice clean flame coming off the top of that charcoal. Fortunately, we're out in the sun here, so it might not show up on the camera. That charcoal is just about ready to go, isn't it, Bob?
Yes, I've just got a nice one here.
Yep.
We want to put in. You want to show the way we have a look at your knives. Now I've done one in each direction. One's a right hand and one's a left hand. Now a lot of people will laugh at this, but you ask some left-handed people about it, and most knives don't sit comfortable in their hands. We'll show you later on when we straighten this that we leave some of that curve in this one and some of the curve in this one, and you'll find that you then have a right and a left-hand knife. And yeah, alright, 90% of the people would laugh at it. But ask left-handed people about it.
True.
They'll tell you.
Yep.
Alright, don't stick your fingers in the fire. Not good for your fingers. I use a pair of multi-grips. And we just poke that in there. Put a bit of charcoal back over the top. And of course we've got a very good anvil here. It's an old engine block. Not discriminating against Holdens, but that's a Holden V6 block that outlived its usefulness. Instead of going to the scrappy, we're going to use it as an anvil for straightening this sort of thing.
Oh, good.
Which is, it's not an ideal anvil because it's made out of cast, and if you hit it too hard it will break, like a lot of these things, but for what we want here at the moment, it is more than adequate.
And you've already done some test runs on this too, mate, so, you know,
yep.
It's proved itself.
Oh yes, it's proved itself. And what we're doing now, we'll heat this steel up until it's red, and then I'll just throw it on the floor and let it cool. That's what we call annealing them.
Okay.
So that when we need to drill some holes in the end here, so you can attach your handle. Spring steel, you won't normally drill it. Yeah, you might if you've got a real special drill, good drills, maybe. But under normal circumstances, it makes very hard work of it. And this way, we'll just soften it, make it anneal it, and then later on we'll reheat it and we'll retemper it. No problems.
Okay. Just having a check, see how it's going.
Yeah. No, not quite yet.
Not quite?
No, needs a little bit more. Needs a little bit more heat in it. Which is happening. Still happening. If you have a look, I don't know if you can see it on with the camera there. It is starting to see the red's starting to come up there already.
Yeah.
It's red.
It's a bit hard to see in the sunlight, mate.
It is a bit.
Yeah.
It's already starting to heat up nicely. You've got to keep an eye on it that it doesn't burn the steel, because steel will burn in one of this idea. And once it starts to sparkle, you ever see lots of spark come out of it, sorry, but that bit of steel, throw it away.
It's got too hot.
Redemption.
Yeah. That makes it brittle, does it?
You can't harden it properly.
Right, okay.
You wind up with very hard spots, soft spots, and yeah, it makes it very difficult to do anything with it. Right, now you need a couple more minutes in there, if that, and we'll pull it out of there and we'll give it a bit of a tap out to straighten.
Alright, back in a couple of minutes, folks.
Okay, well this is one that we've drilled the holes in. It's ready now for tempering, And this is actually a left-handed knife, because if you have a look, we use a straight edge and check it. And there's a slight curve to the left. So when you're cutting, your base here hits before your point hits.
Can we just show that again, mate? I was on the wrong angle at that time.
You're on the wrong angle. Alright. Now this is a left-handed one, because when you put the straight edge on, there's a gap here. Not much. It doesn't need much. It doesn't have to be as pronounced as when we first started.
Yep.
Because when you're cutting with your left hand, you want this part of the blade to hit what you're cutting before the point.
Okay.
Well, so I've been told. I'm either, so I don't mind whether I'm left-handed or right-handed. I can use either. So yeah. So now we'll put this in the fire, and we'll get it up to a dull red, and then we'll quench it in some water. Now I use water around the place. It gives a harder steel. It does quench it harder. A lot of people use oil, which is fine if you've got neighbours who don't mind the smell of burning oil. But unfortunately in suburbia these days we get a lot of people that will complain about anything, anywhere, just for the sake of complaining.
That's true. With the oil, mate, you've got to use a clean oil if you want to use oil.
Preferably oil.
Yeah.
They do, the different companies do make actually a proper tempering oil with an arm and a leg, of course.
Yep.
But I have used engine oil and it's found it quite satisfactory. But as I said, in suburbia, please don't use it, because you'll have your neighbours whinging to the council or whoever, and they'll jump on your neck.
Yeah, that's right.
And I find water, you just got to watch your temperature a bit more. You don't let this get as hot. You keep it a little bit cooler, and you get the same results. Anyway, we'll pop this in the fire.
All right.
And we'll see how we go. Oh, that's hot stuff.
Still burning very efficiently.
Oh yeah.
And Bob mentioned before, we made some knives some time ago, and we used a drum. And it's fairly typical of a lot of the home forges. And he was just mentioning before that using this pit method, it uses a lot less charcoal than the drum method we used, a couple of years ago, wasn't
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because we'll show you those knives afterwards. I've finally finished them. I'm a bit slack these days.
Alright, back in a few minutes, folks. Yeah, what we're doing at the moment, folks, is we're heating it up to temper it, and that's why we've got the handle sticking out the rear there, so it doesn't heat up as much as the blade. We're actually going to temper the blade, so if you're wondering, that's why we've done it. So it's going to take a while. We've got to switch the compressor back on to get some more air into it, so back soon.
You can see I don't know if you can see the colour. Just hold it in there. Oh, I don't know if you can see that red. It's still a touch here. It's almost to where I want it. Okay, now we just drop her in the water.
And this is one of the reasons why smithy shops are dark, isn't it, mate?
Yes, so you can distinguish the colouring. When we're out in the open a bit like this, it's very, very difficult to tell.
Yep.
Alright, now, cool the other end. And we'll just check this for hardness. Just wait there a moment, I'll be back. What I use is a file. Yeah, it should be alright. I can still, with difficulty, file it, which means it's not too hard, because if you temper them too far, the idea that we had that part hot is that's the piece that you use for carving meat or whatever, veggies.
Yep.
And this bit is a little bit softer, so when you're using it as like an axe, it doesn't break.
Or splitting kindling and stuff like that. Yeah.
Splitting kindling, basically, that's what it's very good for.
Yeah.
Right, now, I'll show you another knife I did. Now this one, it was a little bit too hot when we cooled it, and as you see, I just use it for giving it a bit of a tap, and oh dear, we broke it. Now if you look, This end files quite nicely. That doesn't. The file's just running over the top of it. It's not cutting it. There's no cutting going on.
You can hear the sound. You know,
Yes.
the sound of it's
It's a different
yeah.
sound. So don't be disappointed if your first knife you wind up having it a bit too hot, and it will break. Yeah, trust me. They'll just snap.
Jeez, that's snap like it's like glass.
Yes.
Yeah.
But once again, it's a bit of trial and error. You may find at a later date you've done a knife and you think, oh, that is really too soft. Well, pop it back in the forge
Yep.
and heat it, and everyone's got their own idea of red. I got my idea, and you've no doubt got your own idea. So, yeah. And just experiment a little. Oh, we've got the compressor case.
All right, back in a few minutes, folks.